Hi everyone, welcome to my kitchen. Today's special recipe is going to be from the state of Rajasthan, and I'm going to be making one of their classic dishes, which is a Dal Bati Churma. I have traveled to Rajasthan and eaten a variety of dal batis, from the dabas to the restaurants to the 5 stars, and I also have a lot of friends who belong to that region, and they make dal bati as well. What I noticed that along of so many years of making it as well as eating it in many homes and restaurants and dabas, that each one of them has a way of making a dal, and each one of them has a way of making a bati as well. I'm going to be making my own twist to it. In fact, one of my neighbors who is a Rajasthani, and she's actually a Marwadi and her husband is a Mewadi, and then they have a combination of how they make it, and she taught me this recipe, and so I'm going to make it just like how she does it. So the first step is to make the batis. Okay, so I'm going to be using my MasterChef jar to make the batis. You can use like only whole wheat flour, but here what I have is a multi-millet flour. I have whole wheat, ragi, bajra, jowar, all of them combined into it, and this is something that I sort of invented and made a twist to the recipe, and I'm sure many of you also do it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and add this into my MasterChef jar, which helps in kneading all these different attas together in a jiffy. And another ingredient that I also learned from my neighbor who is from that region is that she mentioned that you add a little bit of suji, so then when you actually make your bati, it gives it a nice little crunch, and this bati can also be transformed into the churma, right? So essentially dal, bati and churma are the three core ingredients that goes into ensuring a meal is complete. And when you add the churma into the bati itself, it not only gives a good crust, but helps in making the churma out of the batis as well. So that's exactly what I do. A little bit of baking powder, because baking powder not only adds to a little bit of softness and gives a little air pockets inside the bati, because we're going to be baking them. I'm going to be adding a little bit of baking powder, so it helps develop that little air pockets and makes it a little crunchy and soft. And if you're deep frying them, that might not be required. Salt, not too much, because we're going to be making the churma as well, and the churma is going to be really nice because just a dash of salt along with that jaggery when we make into the churma tastes really nice. And yes, the ajwain. In the bati we don't add much water, it is mostly ghee. We just add little bit of water to sort of bind it together. So I'm just going to first pulse them dry, and then add little water until I see the dough coming together. So as soon as you start seeing like the dough has almost come together, it will not come and form like a ball because we've just not added that much water. But as soon as you sort of see it all coming together, turn it off, and we're going to knead it with the hand for a bit, and then shape it into balls and then put it into the oven for baking. It's actually soft, and the MasterChef jar just did a great job. And it's firm, and you want it to be firm, okay? And you should feel actually the ghee in between your fingers. If you don't, add a little more ghee, and to ensure that you can feel that it's very important. Only then you'll get a really nice tasting bati. Just a little bit more ghee, knead it. So now that I've rolled them, I'm going to go and put it in my preheated oven for about 15, 20 or 25 minutes, depending upon the oven that you have and the temperature setting that would be that, and the heat that would be generated in your personal oven. So monitor it, ensure that it needs to get cooked inside out, baked inside out. It takes about 15, 20 minutes, sometimes 25, 30 minutes as well. Every home and every region has a way of how to make a dal. And today I'm going to be showing you a method which I've sort of eaten multiple places, and I've spoken to a lot of different people, and some people use only urad dal to make the for the dal bati churma. Some people use a combination of mixed dals, and so exactly what I'm going to do today. So I'm going to be cooking it in the pressure cooker and then giving it a tadka. And so into my pressure cooker I'm just going to add some ghee, and to this I'm going to add in my garlic, my ginger, onions, and we'll saute the onion, ginger, garlic for about a bit until the onions soften. Now that the onions have softened just a bit, I'm going to add in the bay leaves, the green chilies, the cinnamon, and the chopped tomatoes. And we'll saute them just for a bit. You don't need to make like a masala, because all of this is just going to get cooked in the pressure cooker, and it's all going to come together. Turmeric powder and some garam masala powder, some salt, and finally all the dals. So the dals that I'm going to be using this is split urad dal over here, which I've soaked and kept. And I'm going to add in the black chilka wala with the one with the chilka. So I'm just going to add in the urad dal. And you can also add split chilka wala moong dal, but I'm adding the whole moong dal here, which is again soaked for overnight. And of course the chana dal, which is one of the most important ingredients in a Rajasthani dal, which I've soaked and kept as well. And I'll give it a stir, add enough water because the chana dal and the green moong dal take quite a bit of water, and it will take about 20 minutes to cook them. So about 5 to 6 whistles or 8 whistles, so you get a really nice soft mashed dal. Okay, so I'm going to add some more water, cover the pressure cooker, and then cook it for about 20-25 minutes. So the batis are perfectly baked, and notice that it's got a nice golden crust on the top, and when you actually drop it, it shouldn't feel like it's kacha. It should feel nice and hard, and when you tap in, it should feel, you know, it's done. So I'm just going to go ahead and break the bati. These are really warm, and notice how it's done from the inside. It's just perfectly cooked, and this is exactly how we want it. It's got a nice crusty outer and a little soft inner, and that's just perfect. Okay, crush a few of them. So what I'm going to do is, so churma is nothing but, you know, these batis which are ground into a coarse powder, and it is also a little sweet. So I'm going to be adding jaggery. You can also flavor your churma along with some, you can add some badam into it, or kaju into it, or elaichi powder, but I'm just going to keep it plain and simple, just like how they serve in the dabas on the roadside. Put the, you know, the chopper blade inside because it helps grind the batis into a nice fine powder. Okay, you can also use your regular mixer grinder, but this works great because you can do the pulse action and get the texture you want. It's nice and coarse, and it's perfect. Oh, notice that the dal, all of them are standing out, and this is how it will look. So, but what you have to do is to give it a stir and mash it up just a little bit so it forms a nice creamy consistency. If you like a little bit of texture, you can just leave it just like that. Ensure that the chana dal will usually sit at the bottom, and ensure that the chana dal is also cooked. So you will know if it's cooked by, if you just press it, and it should just mash well. And this is a perfect consistency of the dal. I'm just going to give it a stir, check the taste, check if you need some salt, and if you need, add it, and if you like some lemon, you can add some lemon as well. So now that this is done, the most important thing here is the tadka. So, and it's extremely important to give a ghee tadka for a dal. I already cooked the dal in some ghee, but I'm going to give it another tadka on the top, which is the ghee tadka. So I'm going to preheat my pan, allow it to heat up, and then do the tadka. So I'm going to go ahead and add in some ghee, cumin seeds, and some red chilies. And we'll allow the cumin seeds to crackle, and we'll roast the red chilies just for a bit. And once it does, and once you see that the cumin seed is crackling and lightly turning golden and changing color, turn off the heat. I'm going to now spoon in the tadka into my dal and give it a light stir. And if you like that little bit of chili there, go ahead and add it. And that's just perfect. Ensure that you also add a little bit of extra ghee on the top, because it's absolutely must for you know, the dal that goes along with the Dal Bati Churma. Okay, so now here let me explain the plate to you. Okay, so this is like a nice delicious dhaba meal. When you go into the dhabas of Rajasthan on the highways, they'll serve you these batis along with this dal with the tadka on the top, and along with some cut pyaz, which is you know, salted with kala namak and squeeze of nimbu. And they serve fried chilies. I've just put chilies here. You know, they're going to be frying chilies, and it has a little bit of salt and pepper, and then serve it along with this. And then finally the churma that we have made also goes by the side. So now this is how you would serve Dal Bati Churma, and how you would typically have it is you will be mashing the bati like I showed you, like, you know, you just crack it open, pour some dal over it, and then, you know, have it along with some onions, bite a little bit of that chili, and then savor it. So that's exactly how a Dal Bati Churma meal looks like. So I hope you enjoyed making this dish. It's a very classic dish, and would love to know if you're from Rajasthan, how you make your Dal Bati Churma, and I'd love to learn from you. So when you do try this recipe out, don't forget to share your feedback in the comments below, because I'd love to hear from you as well. So until then, until next time, happy cooking and healthy eating.